the Auburn Blitz Podcast, your direct source for all Auburn all the time with Brett Pritchard, Faith Richardson, and Randy Lee.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into another edition of the Auburn Blitz Podcast. Glad that you are joining us wherever it is that you're joining us and catching up on everything Auburn Tigers here. Really appreciate it. Appreciate all the subscribers out there. Continue to pass the word along if you like our content and spread the word so we can continue to grow. Randy, good to see you here this morning as we get rolling. A couple of days away from Auburn getting started in the March Madness tournament. We'll watch tonight and see the game between Alabama State and St. Francis to see who Auburn's opponent is in the first round, but Auburn does enter in as the number one overall seed. We had a reaction show after the bracket revealed the other night, and we kind of broke all this down. I'll get some more thoughts from you today about that and some of the concerns that we have, but good to see you this morning.
Well, glad you're getting to see me, Brett. Beautiful weather outside. It's spring weather. It kind of cooled off yesterday.
Yeah,
I was a little shocked with the weather yesterday morning, I must say. I'm already prepared for lake season.
I'm ready.
Bring
it on.
The water is coming up. Was down at the lake this past week, and it looks like it's already up several feet. So I know that there's a lot of excitement around that in our neck of the woods. But thank the good Lord above. I'll keep saying this over and over and over again. Thank the good Lord above for Bruce Pearl and this Auburn basketball program that we've got something to look forward to. Because when we come on here and we come up with anything whatsoever negative to say about this basketball program and the progress that we keep seeing under Bruce Pearl, we're crazy as hell is all I can tell you. I mean, we're the number one overall seed. Just to be in the debate for whether you should be the number one overall seed or not is like we're living in some kind of alternate universe for all of us Auburn fans that have been there with them for the past 40 plus years. But here we are. Expectations are exceptionally high, and they should be. This is a team that not only the two of us expect big things from, but if you watch the national pundits out there, I've already seen 4 or 5 of the biggest ones picking Auburn to cut the nets down. And just to be in that discussion saying a mouthful.
Yeah, and then on the other side of things, there's a lot that I think maybe are challenging this Auburn team, and Stephen A. Smith was one yesterday. You know, and Stephen A. always has a great way of getting after you without, being offensive. He said, and if you watched his take, I thought he was spot on. He's like, "Where you at, Auburn? Come on, man. Pick this thing back up and play like you've been playing all year." And, I like the way he takes an approach on things. He did it. If you're an Auburn player, you see Stephen A. Smith, you don't take that like he's taking a jab at you or a shot at you. He's trying to challenge you to say, man, start playing your brand of basketball so we can see you guys in the Final Four where you belong. And, don't worry about all this. You've been out of the first or second round the last 4 out of 5 times in the tournament. I liked his challenge yesterday, and you know what? Rightfully so. Fizzling out here toward the end, losing 3 of 4. This team needs a good wake up call. They need a good challenge. I hope they play with a chip on their shoulder starting Thursday because like I've said before, you're in one and done territory now. There is no tomorrow when you come out and you don't play well.
Well, it's not only a challenge. I mean, you've got to change your whole dynamic of the way that you've been playing here recently. I mean, you look at the SEC tournament, Auburn from an offensive standpoint, there are massive question marks that go into what you saw in that SEC tournament. I mean, we didn't score the basketball anywhere near where we were scoring it a month ago. Definitely not scoring it anywhere near where we were scoring it a month and a half ago when we were playing so well and had jumped into the number one position and held on to it. It's there to be done, but it's going to take some players that haven't played well in quite some time to step up and get back to the level that they were. Namely, Chaney Johnson. He's got to play a lot better basketball than we've seen of him in the last couple of weeks. There's something off a little bit there on the offensive side. Nowhere near as many opportunities going his way. And a lot of times when you're that type of athlete, you got to create your own opportunities. And so he's got to be a little bit more dog about him to go out there and make some plays for this team. CBM's up and down. Miles Kelly's been pretty steady Eddie. We only saw really one bad game, I think. Tahad, there's no part of me that thinks Tahad's going to play the way that he did in that semifinal game again. I don't think that's possible. But he's got to get the ball to the bucket. Quit conceding these 3 or 4 feet behind the three-point arc shots. And you said this yesterday, and it's kind of stuck with me. Actually, not yesterday, but on Sunday. We're playing slow. I mean, Faith brought it up. We're carrying the shot clock way too deep with the athleticism that we have. And, you know, when I watch Alabama play, and I appreciate their brand of offensive basketball, they're going to get a shot up with between 8 or 10 seconds into the shot clock. And I think we have better athletes on the wings than they do. I think they got one of the best point guards in the country. And I'm as big of a fan of some of their other players as anybody else, but I do think our length and some of what we were able to do on the wings is better than Stevenson and what they have. So those dribble drive opportunities with Miles Kelly and CBM and some others are going to be needed, Brett. And that's where I was wanting to go with this morning is, you know, the opportunity is still there, but you got to pick the brand of basketball that you want to play. And to me, when we're playing like our hair is on fire, and we're making plays out there, and I'm not saying don't control your emotions, but there's a certain point where this team needs to be a little emotional. It needs to carry, you know, you always hear that you carry the personality of your coach. And most great teams that I've witnessed carry the personality of their coach. Well, our coach's personalities, he's hot under the collar. He's emotional. He's playing with a chip on his shoulder, whether he deserves to or not. I mean, Auburn doesn't deserve to have a chip on their shoulder. Hell, we're the number 1 overall seed going into the tournament. We've been ranked number 1, 7 weeks out of the season? I mean, what kind of chip you need? You need to, I mean, if you're trying to make up chips right now, you got a problem.
Well,
I mean, so this Auburn team needs to go back to playing like their hair is on fire and emotional, and I think we'll play better basketball if we do that.
You know, they're their own worst enemy, in my opinion. I think if Auburn gets back to what we saw mid-SEC schedule and back toward the months of January and December, I don't know that there's a team in the country that can beat them on a neutral site floor. But that's not the team that we have right now. You know, the team we have right now has digressed offensively, has dropped in the polls 2 weeks in a row. I know nobody cares about the poll, but they still issue the poll out, and Auburn now is number 4 in the country. So it's kind of crazy that Auburn is number 4 and they're the number 1 overall seed. And the only reason they're the number 1 overall seed is because of their resume, and rightfully so. But even Bruce Pearl said it, and we all have said it for the last couple of weeks. Bruce Pearl said it on CBS Sports Network a couple of nights ago. Florida is by far playing the best basketball in the country. And he highlighted a couple things that Auburn's got to get better and get back to doing the way they did earlier in the season. Number 1, shooting free throws better. You know as well as I do, in tournament play, you're going to be in a lot of close games, especially the further down the line you get. And free throws are going to matter. And you have a night like we had the other night against Tennessee, you're not going to be around very long. So you want to look at that element plus not as fast defensively. We talked about fast offensively, but Coach Pearl was talking about our effort defensively. He said, you know, the way we started that game against Tennessee, they were on pace to score 110 points. He said, they're not a good offensive team. They're a great defensive team, but he said, we made them look like they were the best offensive team in the country. He said, we cannot let teams come out, have uncontested shots. And so I think he's issuing a challenge for whatever reason. I don't know. It just the edge of play has fallen off. And now, like you said, whether you're trying to find something or not, or need a chip or not, it's go time, dude. I mean, this is what you played all year for, to get to this opportunity. We're going to dive into this bracket here because I am concerned about Saturday. I am. And so we'll see how it plays out. But looking at these offensive numbers, Randy, Chad Baker-Mazar, 12.6 a game. Miles Kelly, 11.5. Tahad, 11. Denver, 10.7. And then Chaney's down to single digits. So 9.3. All of those guys are averaging anywhere from 23 to 28 minutes a game, outside of Janai, who's averaging 30 minutes a game and 18.9. Everybody else, our scores right there, when you look down at the year that we went to the Final Four, we had 5 or 6 guys that were averaging double digits. And right now we've got 5 that are averaging double digits. And we need them to play like that going forward. You're going to have to spread the wealth in this tournament.
Well, it's a guard-oriented tournament. Everybody says that. Now, last year you could make a complaint that you're wrong by that based off of the way that Purdue and UConn played down in the post, but I still think that it's a very guard-oriented tournament. And if you go into games against some of the best teams in the tournament and you get 12 to 14 points out of your point guard position and the opposing team gets 30, you're probably not going to win. And to me, that is one of the biggest question marks for Auburn going in. Need to hide to play up to the standard that we've seen him at neutral site and on the road most of the year, which has been at about an 18 to 20 point clip. That's what he's done in some of these key games on the road and on neutral sites. And he must play that way. And Denver, I think, is going to go get his. But the one thing about Denver that I saw that I don't know if it is him being a little gimpy on the defensive end, but our willingness to switch up top is a problem. It's been a problem. Bruce Pearl knows that. Stephen Pearl knows that. But Tennessee got us into switches that we should have never conceded in that loss.
Cost us the Alabama game.
Well, when you get Janai matched up based off of a couple of switches that you end up with, and Ziegler's got the ball at the top of the key with Janai covering him, I saw that at least 2 or 3 times. Now, They don't start on each other, but it's your unwillingness to get or hedge through a screen or get over the top of a screen. And Auburn has had those problems in the past, and it's rearing its ugly head now. And, I mean, we've got to play more physical through these screens. The blueprint's out there for how you play Auburn offensively. I mean, you got to keep Auburn making decisions. You're going to end up with Auburn having a matchup that they don't like. Now, can you take them off the dribble? If it's Janai right now, yeah. Now, I don't know where he hasn't lost a lick on the offensive end. I mean, thank the Lord we've got the National Player of the Year, because that's what he's going to be on the offensive end for Auburn. But I don't think anybody would think that this is the same Janai on the defensive end of the court that we saw earlier in the year.
It's not. You can't get off the ground. You can't get off the floor.
So,
I mean,
so that's a problem, but it's not a problem if he's matched up with a big. The problem becomes when he ends up top and he's having to match up with one of these.
They got to fix that.
Quicker guards.
They got to fix it.
If they don't fix it, it's going to be what
going to end
causes
quick.
This team to lose out. It is. Now, the point I was going to make on the guards, though, when we went to the Final Four, I thought we had 2 of the top 4 guards in that tournament, and we had them both on the same team, and they shot teams' eyeballs out. And at the end of the game, we know where the ball was going to go. It was going to be in Jared Harper's hands, and he was going to go to the free throw line. He was going to knock down key free throws.
He was so good at driving to the basket.
He was just so good overall. And Bryce Brown was out of his mind, and we had pieces around him, but they were the 2 main pieces that were driving that ship for Auburn. So can we get that out of the guard position? We'll see. It has been a roller coaster ride for the last 4 or 5 years when it comes to that position. But we need it to get back to the level that we've had it before.
All right, some comments. I'll push them up when I'll read them here. Glenn said, I'm already tired of looking at brackets. Jerron says, Wardam, good to hear from you this morning. Jerron said, hopefully you've been using a lot of ice. I think they need it to get healthy. Justin said, we got chips right now. Auburn's lost 3 or 4. They're not any good. Gave up number 10 or have number 10 AP 1 hour away from their campus in the second round. That's in Louisville, and that's about to be what I talk about next. And then Kyle said the final AP poll came out and had Louisville at number 10. It's exactly where I was going next, guys. Can someone explain to me how the number 10 team in the country is an 8 seed? They should have been a 5 or higher. This is, again, I read this off to Faith yesterday, Randy. I don't know if you saw it or not, but they do a strength of record. ESPN does, And Auburn is in the worst bracket strength of record. Every team in our bracket clearly has a better record against, top ranked opponents than any other bracket. And so we're the number one overall seed. And I know I said on the selection show, I like our path. I do. I'm still not changing that. But that round 2 game is going to be tough. And I mean, Louisville is trending up. I know they lost in the ACC championship game, but they played Duke pretty well. Man, you're gonna earn that one. And Bruce Pearl said it. He said, we don't have a give me into the second week of the tournament. They're gonna have to play a lot better than they've been playing to get out of that one.
I don't mind the matchup as much as I mind where it's being played, and I think that most Auburn fans would say that. Most Houston fans said the same thing a few years back when they had to play Auburn and Birmingham to get through and make it.
They said the exact same thing.
And they deserve to say it, so we're saying the same thing. But your second round matchup's going to always be one, if you're a 1 or 2 seed, that you can find a lot of reasons why you could lose those games, and that's just the nature of the beast in this tournament. Glad to have you back on, Faith, and but that's the point I think we all make is it's the location. I don't know if you saw Rick Pitino's comments yesterday, but Pitino comes in and he says, look, you can play them in the state of Kentucky and Lexington. And he brought up over in Lexington a few years back, they had 12,000 Louisville fans in there. And it's rabid. So, yes, it's going to be difficult. But I do think if you look at the 2 seed, Auburn got the 2 seed matchup that I wanted. And if you got to play a team, I'd much rather it be Louisville than one of the top SEC teams that may fall down to an 8 seed.
Right.
And anything that kept us away from Tennessee and Alabama as a 2 seed, I was good with. And the SEC may not play up to the standard that I feel like they're going to, Brett, and I'll be the first one to say that I was wrong with that. But I do think that the nightmare of working through the SEC play this year is going to have all of us ready, and even more so with Auburn and Alabama when you look at their strength of schedule. What are they, 1 and 2 in the country in strength of schedule?
Yep.
Alabama's 1, Auburn's 2.
Yep.
Am I right by that?
Correct.
I mean, my gosh, if that doesn't, it helped Alabama last year. If it doesn't help both of us this year, but if it does help both of us, my gosh, you're about to see Nate Oates and Bruce Pearl keep building these schedules up the exact same way they have these last.
Well, what you saw, Nate Oates, what you saw that helped Alabama last year is Grant Nelson came alive.
Sure.
You have to find somebody on your team that rises up this time of year. And Timothy just said we have the guards that can shoot free throws to close out the game. We do. And I told Faith this yesterday. We've got to get the ball in their hands toward the end of the game instead of our bigs going to the line. I mean, Dylan and Janai going to the line ain't going to cut it. That's like a wasted possession. That is a strategy for teams moving forward. They're going to hack-a-shack us and put them at the line, and they're going to try to steal some points and steal some possessions away from us. Denver and Miles and Tahad and Chad Baker, all 4 of those shoot the free throws really well. They've got to have the ball in their hands when the game's on the line and quit running plays like we did at Alabama and couldn't get the ball in, and you got it into Janai twice, and he goes to the line and clanks them. Run some plays and get one of those other 4 guys open and get the ball in their hand. That's imperative. But I'll read this stat, Randy, before you get out. AP number 4 Auburn plays AP number 10 Louisville on Saturday. Will be the only the second AP top 10 matchup in an opening weekend NCAA tournament since 1979, since the seeding began. Only second time you got a 4 and a 10 or a top 10 matchup in the second round. It's really they missed that one. They missed it.
It makes no sense at all. The only sense that anyone can throw in there or reasoning behind this is how weak the ACC is. Got to be the only thing that bumps them back to that 8 seed. Otherwise,
I'll tell you what won out: money. That's what won out. They looked at that venue and they said, "Okay, we're going to put Louisville right there and have a potential matchup against the number 1 overall seed. And we're about to bring in some jack." Not that they had to do that to bring in money anyway, but we saw that was the strategy we put in Auburn and Alabama and Birmingham a few years ago.
What's Louisville's RPI? I haven't looked at it.
I don't have it in front of me.
I just wonder if their RPI gives you a reason that you could say that they're I mean, if they're down in the 30s RPI wise,
right,
then otherwise it makes no sense.
right.
None. I mean, and you feel like they have, not to say that they have to have a reason to do anything that they do with the NCAA, but you would think they would need something like that. But I'll go ahead and step aside and let y'all get after it. Faith, appreciate you being on. One quick thing, y'all were on the road yesterday. Make sure to tune in. I know that this is our Auburn Blitz program, but we're really working hard on the HSA side to get around the state of Alabama and give some coverage to some programs that maybe don't get as much coverage as they deserve. Y'all were at Chelsea High School yesterday. They're the number one 6A baseball team. Looking forward to watching that. I want to thank AlDOT, Drive Safe Alabama, for being our key sponsor there that allows us to go around the state of Alabama and driving safe. I hope that y'all are.
Absolutely.
To get out there and get those videos. But stay tuned into that, WOTM and all of our social media outlets. But I'll spotlight my two companies that I'll be heading back over to the Auburn market today to work on: Lee Apparel and Sign Source. On the Lee Apparel side, promotional product screen printing, athletic uniforms, 256-825-0197, and on Sign Source, from start to finish, from design to print production, all the way down to installation. Got a brand new 90-foot lift truck that came in this weekend. So we've added 3 brand new installation trucks in the last year, and they're on the road every day. So that is one. I was at Auburn University talking to some of them on some projects that we're working on there, Brett. And that was one of the keys that I was passing along to them yesterday. If they've had to hire out install through some other companies in the past, don't do that anymore. We can handle all of those. But phone number for both of those companies, 256-825-0197. And be tuning into y'all.
Appreciate it, brother. Thank you, man. Welcome in, Faith. How are you this morning?
Hey.
All good. Had a long day
good
yesterday.
Over here.
Had a great day yesterday. To parts unknown. People will have to tune in to see that. I had a great trip yesterday. We'll talk some more about that a little bit later on. But again, welcome in. Just talking about this matchup between Auburn and Louisville. We got some other stuff that we want to talk about too this morning. Rebel Yell said yes. Creighton's laughing at us somewhere. Look, you're right. I mean, it's an 8-9 matchup, and I think we kind of already are looking ahead thinking Louisville, Creighton's going to have something to say about it. They got a great basketball team, no doubt about it. I just feel like, Louisville's playing really well right now, and they're going to have a semi-home court advantage there in Lexington. So Creighton, yeah, they're the 9 seed. Louisville's an 8, so there's not a dime's difference, but I do think Louisville's a little misseeded. I don't really think they're an 8. I think they're a 5, possibly a 4, based on their ranking. I mean, crap, they're the number 10 team in the country, and then they get a number 8 seed. So yeah, that's a little bit to me. That's a little bit too low for them. They should have been a little bit higher seed, but nevertheless, that's what you got to deal with. And you and I broke that down yesterday, Faith. Every number 1 seed is going to have a formidable opponent in the second round with that 8-9 matchup. That's just the way the tournament bracket is designed. And sometimes that second round game can be tougher than the third round game if you make it there.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like we've talked it so much. And yeah, yesterday we really went into it more than I think what I watched y'all go into it, but also what we'll go into for sure.
I got I did talk about this earlier. Auburn slips to number 4 in the AP poll. Duke obviously remains number 1. Florida jumps to 3, and then Houston stays at number 2. And look, Auburn probably deserves to slip a little bit. I mean, you look at Florida, they won their conference tournament. Houston won their conference tournament. Duke obviously won their conference tournament, and we didn't. We went out in the semifinal. We didn't even make it to the championship game. So I know we talked about chips on the shoulder and all that, and there's a lot of people not buying Auburn right now, and rightfully so. When you look at it, I sent this over to you last night. Auburn right now is 4th. Actually 3rd behind Duke and Florida on the betting odds. at plus 400. Duke is plus 360, and Florida is plus 350. So Florida right now playing the best basketball in the country, and we'll see how that plays out. They'll have an interesting matchup in the second round with either Oklahoma or Connecticut. And if UConn makes it through, I mean, UConn is the two-time defending national champs. They haven't had the season they probably were expecting to have. They did lose quite a bit off those teams that won a national title. But, I mean, look, Houston probably going to have to play Gonzaga. I hate to write Georgia off, but Gonzaga's been to 9 straight Sweet 16s. Duke going to have to play Baylor. We know what kind of program Baylor has, and that's right Mississippi State also. I know there's 2 SEC teams in there, and I think they can easily win those games. But regardless, they're going to have a tough second round. If you're playing an SEC team, Faith, you know what kind of gauntlet they've been through, so they're battle-tested, so they're not going to run from anybody.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's the same thing every single day that we just keep talking about, it feels like.
All right, let's talk about the matchup tonight with Alabama State and St. Francis. I don't think it really matters who Auburn gets. Alabama State's a better team, but when you look at these two teams, I mean they're the play-in at the 16 seed. That game will be tonight in Dayton, Ohio, in the play-in. You know, regardless, whoever it is, got to turn around in 2 days and play the number 1 overall seed. Here's where I'm going with this. Auburn should be in full control of that game, probably by halftime. This is more about the Auburn team that we want to see. And you said yesterday that you want to see them come back and play like we've been seeing them play earlier in the year. Not the team that's dragging, that's slow offensively, that's sluggish defensively, that they're playing with an edge out on the floor, and they're playing like the number 1 team in the country.
I would like us to see Alabama State. Like you said, they're the better team, and I think that's going to ultimately help us at the end of the day, rather than playing a team that's not, as
well. They're at a losing record. I mean,
yeah.
Let's be honest about it.
Yeah, so I would rather see Alabama State, and just for the state of Alabama, obviously we do a lot of high school stuff. In state
matchup. Why not?
That's what, is exciting. That's I still think a good point of having it be a better team, because you're not going to see anybody. We're not going to see anybody else in this tournament that is going to have a losing record. That's not as good. We want the competition and the preparation for Louisville or Creighton,
Right.
So,
yeah. I mean, you need to carry some momentum into that second game. Jerron said, I need Broom to focus on playing ball instead of complaining to the refs as much as it's just, it's kind of in him to do that. He's going to be that guy, and he plays that way, and he's played that way his whole career. I don't know that he will change that, Jerron, here toward the end. But it's kind of what he gets caught up in sometimes. I agree with you. Just play, let the officials, and I think that's another point that we haven't talked about yet. And, play within your emotions. We saw that cost Auburn in the tournament last year. And we saw what happened with Chad Baker not too long ago again. So you got to play within your emotions, and but find a way to play with that edge again. Got to have that to be able to make a run in this tournament. All right, a couple other things I want to talk about that aren't related to Auburn. This is odd. A new postseason basketball tournament called the College Basketball Crown. Has a 16-team field in it. This is Fox Sports trying to compete with the NIT. And in amongst all of this, and all of this creation of new stuff, South Alabama got invited to the NIT, and then got their invitation reneged because somebody else that they were offering a bid to had been offered a bid to this tournament, and that team decided they didn't want to play in that tournament. They wanted to play in the NIT. So the NIT committee jumped the gun by offering the bid to South Alabama, and then they had to come back and walk it back. Now South Alabama's in an uproar, and I don't blame them. I mean, it's wrong. It was handled about as poorly as you can handle it. And to think you're going to go and play in a postseason tournament, then have it ripped away from you, man, is about as dejecting as it comes. So this is a mess. But, I mean, here we go again. And, like, I know it's for TV, it's for ratings, it's competition and all that. But, I mean, this is nothing but another money grab. I mean, okay, you're mediocre. Let's give you a tournament. Let's make a 16-team field and have it in Las Vegas, and it means nothing. I mean, the NIT in essence doesn't mean anything. So, but
is this where everybody gets a trophy? Is this Little League where, oh, you didn't make it, but you still get a medal, a trophy?
Still get an invitation. Yep. Still get an invitation. They'll play March 31st to April 6th. So right there at the tail end of the NCAA tournament, these teams will be playing. So you won't have the NCAA tournament being the culmination of college basketball anymore. You're going to have this daggum thing keep going on. I mean, this is the world we live in now. And next year, somebody else will probably come up with another tournament. There'll be 3 or 4 tournaments going on at the same time. But again, there's only prestige in one of them, and it's the NCAA tournament. I just thought, I didn't even know anything about it till I saw this pop up, to be honest, on a commercial. And I'm like, what the hell is this? And I'm like, and they were advertising, this tournament. And I'm like, boy, Las Vegas. They're going to come up, and Fox will come up with some edgy stuff too. There's no doubt about it. But I won't spend any more time on that. I just thought that was kind of bizarre. All right, let's shift over, Faith, and let's talk a little bit about spring football. Spring football officially opens practice today. It won't be a full team practice. That won't happen until March 25th. But Coach Freeze going to be really kind of doing like an OTA style, like where you're learning, having some walkthrough stuff, being able to run through a few things that they want to focus on even before they really get into it, where it's full team practice when you have everybody together. So just kind of your thoughts on that. I mean, Auburn will have 12 practice days. And basically, though, this week they're going to be going over schemes and techniques and certain things. And I think that's probably good in this day and age, because you have these young guys that come in now and are ready to go with this early enrollment and such a big group of your new class guys coming in. They need a few days to kind of learn the ropes before they just get thrown out into the fire.
There's no doubt that going into a big university like this and a team, I cannot imagine being 18 or even 17 years old. And, you've got some 23, 24-year-olds, and you've got people that you've looked up to, Coach Freeze, Coach Nix, all these people where you're, okay, it's time for practice. I have to impress them immediately, all that kind of stuff. I have to prove myself. I think going through and kind of walking through and setting expectations and kind of letting them get the feel for it is a very, very comforting thing for some of these kids, because as much as some of the older guys, I'm sure they just want to get into it and start really working on overcoming what happened last season. you do have to think about some of the young kids. You don't want to freak them out so bad that they end up literally freaking themselves out during practice and completely screwing themselves up because they're so nervous. So I think doing that is good to just kind of let them get a feel for, the environment and the expectations. And I know last year their, I guess, saying kind of was accepting adversity and kind of the different changes and stuff like that. So
Yeah, you interviewed several
yeah,
players
so
and talked
I'm
about that, right?
excited to see kind of what this year's spring practice and summer stuff kind of is going into the fall, because that carried through into the fall. And I feel like every single person I interviewed, they said something about adversity and adapting to change and all that kind of stuff. And hopefully there's gonna be another encouraging saying that Coach Freeze or somebody else is able to give them and really boost their confidence going into this fall. Because again, we've talked about it a lot, but there are some good athletes on this team, and
It's the best roster I think Freeze has had.
I think so too.
Going to continue to build that up, and
Yeah.
I'm with you. I think that you look at it from a standpoint of, it's very important to all be on the same page so you can get the most out of your practices. Maybe that's kind of the approach of this deal. And look, spring practices are for you to get work in to get better to head into summer camp. I know us as fans and media, we want to see immediate, one-on-ones and, ones versus ones and things like that. But you got to remember, there's a lot of moving parts in the world of college football now, especially with the portal. I mean, we got 3 brand new quarterbacks, 4 really. Quarterback room completely different. So those guys, I mean, it's extremely important that they be on the same page with everybody and they know what the offense is, so they can go out and get quality reps, and the coaches can analyze and evaluate them to see who they feel like really is the best guy for the job, whether it be, whoever, whether it be Deuce Knight or Jackson Arnold or Ashton Daniels or whoever it might be. But, now you got to deal with 3 brand new quarterbacks that are trying to learn a system. And all 3, want to go out and perform well. So this is an opportunity for them to do that. But we'll be covering that. Again, next week really starts full team practice, but more of an OTA style starting today. But Auburn football is back today. So we will be diving into that. Faith, let's shift over and talk a little about Auburn baseball. What a great week. Right now Auburn is moving up in the rankings. And again, what a great win for them this weekend over Vanderbilt. Anytime you can get a series win over Vanderbilt, you're doing something. And Auburn's relying on a lot of young guys. Bub Terrell from Thompson is continuing to rip his way through the first part of the season. And you can see what he went 3 for 4 with a run in Auburn's series opening win against Vanderbilt. Drove in a run in each of the last 2 games against Vanderbilt. He's been a guy since day one that's been a bright spot as a freshman. He sure doesn't play like a freshman. One of my good friends is assistant coach at UT Martin, and he and I talked about it after Auburn played UT Martin actually a week ago today. And he talked about Bub and how he's like, man, that guy is way ahead of the curve as far as his ability to see pitches at the plate and to be able to battle, and his athleticism. He had nothing but great things to say about him. So Auburn, this team's going to be a team, Faith, that will just get better and better as the season goes on. But getting that opening series win against Vanderbilt was massive.
Yeah, I mean, what a resume that they're building now. This is their 7th straight series won, and I mean,
That's dating back to last year too.
Yep. So starting your conference play, winning against Vanderbilt in the SEC again is remarkable because that's a good team. And yeah, I mean, we've seen so many of some of these guys that are older, but like Cooper McMurray, Ike Irish, all of them. But these freshmen have.
And how about Auburn got it done without Ike Irish this weekend?
Right.
How huge is that?
Right. But we've seen what they can do, but seeing these freshmen and these newcomers, what they've been able to get done is, I mean, it's great for the program and what Coach Thompson is able to do with them.
Absolutely. And talk about a guy that had a week, Dre Alvarez, SEC Freshman of the Week, made his first relief appearance against UT Martin last Tuesday, a week ago. And then, turned in 4 scoreless innings in his first career win and his SEC debut. This guy's a true freshman. So a lot of young guys contributing on the mound and at the plate. Then you got guys like Sam Dutton, who's a senior. You got Ike Irish, who is hurt right now, and you got Cooper McMurray. So you got a good mix on this team, and you and I are excited that we'll be going over in our first interview. We don't know exactly when, but we were approved yesterday to get with Cooper McMurray. So that'll be your first. I'm going to go ahead and unveil this right now for everybody. The feature that we'll be having, the new feature we'll be having here on the Auburn Blitz, will be On the Front Row with Faith Richardson. So we'll be going around all Auburn athletic teams and highlighting, a lot of different stories. And some of them, maybe a lot of them, will be more about the person and their lives more than just the sport and the performance of what they do in their sport. It may be a track and field athlete. It may be a tennis player, maybe a golfer, could be a baseball player, football. It could be any of them. We're gonna cover all athletics, and so we got a boatload of people to pick from. Faith, you will be doing that feature every single week. I'll be your camera guy, for lack of better terms. I'll be the guy on the other side of the camera this time, which I'll be grateful for. So I'm excited about this opportunity for you and for us here at Auburn Blitz, and to really showcase and dive into the lives of some of our student athletes, because I know they all have a different story, and we all get caught up in stats and the sport, and all. They're a person. They have a story to tell, and we want to tell their story, and I want you to tell their story so Auburn fans can really become more engaged with them as a person, not just a player.
Yeah, that's something that I've always found really important, doing sports, just because, especially with NIL and how it's really changed college sports in general. You don't really know where a lot of people come from and their backgrounds, and how this gift of going and playing a sport at a college that you've got a free ride to, you've got, food taken care of, housing, now they're getting paid to be there, how that's affecting their lives and where they come from, because some people, they come from nothing. Some people come from a lot, but a lot of people don't know, and they don't care as much about some of those things where a lot of people have a really great story to tell. I learned a lot of that when I was doing football. And yeah, I think that is something that I've always had an interest in. And so being able to do that, I am so excited. And I'm, really grateful to be able to be a part of this with Brett. And yeah, so I'm really excited that Cooper McMurray is going to be my first one. And there's just so much more that we've got in store for this, which is really exciting. But yeah, and obviously I'm going to talk about their sport and their season, of course, but it's not just going to be me hammering them with, well, what about this? What about this? What about your coach? All that kind of stuff. It's going to be beyond that. So I'm really excited. And Brett, I know you are too.
Pumped up about it.
Yeah.
Pumped up about it for you, because let me brag on you for just a second. I mean, obviously you do a great job on the podcast and joining our team, but you really shine in these interviews. You do. I enjoy watching you sit down with coaches and players, and you do such a great job of getting on a personal level and making them feel comfortable and kind of letting them kind of share their story. And that's what interviews are all about. And to me, that's what makes them so watchable. But you shine in those interviews. So I'm proud for you, and you do a great job. And man, this thing's going to be great. It's going to be great exposure for Auburn athletes. And we're glad to be doing it here on the Auburn Blitz. And we even have a little cartoon character of Faith drawn up. So that will be on the feature. So you'll be seeing that too. So, but anyway, proud for you, proud for us. It's going to be exciting. We'll have Cooper McMurray, our first edition of On the Front Row with Faith. So you'll want to stay tuned for that. We'll be pushing that out hopefully next week sometime. We do want to talk about our partners here on the program. We could not do the show without them. Sensor Green, for air that's cool and clean, call them Sensor Green. They are the carrier experts, proud supporters of Auburn athletics and this Auburn Blitz podcast. Thanks to them so much. Scout Program Management, got to see Sloan and Jay and Charles yesterday. What great guys, man, looking at working on another project. So they're out and about, and they're the best in the business when it comes to construction management. They'll take you from the start to the finish. So if you're in the market for that, call on Scout Program Management. They'll get you taken care of. They're located in Birmingham, Alabama, and then Bunkers right there on West Glen, one of Faith and I's favorite places to go for food. The atmosphere, March Madness is here. It starts tonight. So start making Bunkers part of your plans. If you're not going to be able to go to any games, to any locations, Bunkers will make you feel like you're at the game with all the different TVs and all the great food. So make sure you check out Bunkers on West Glen. Sure Shot. Faith knows about this. I'm excited about turkey season. It is a couple of weeks away. And so all of you hunters out there, for your new apparel, you need some new ammo for your shotguns. You need a new shotgun, call on Sure Shot. They sell and trade new and used firearms, located on Highway 280 in Alexander City. And then Oliver Ross, a full-service bartending service that will come to you, take care of you, whether you have a party of 20 or 20,000. I don't know if you can get 20,000 in somebody's house or not, but they'll come serve if you do. And you'll probably have the police called if you have 20,000 people at your house. So, but anyway, Oliver Ross will take care of you there. So make sure you call on them. Full service, trained, licensed, and professional bartenders for your next party or event. And that was a mouthful, Faith, and I'm worn out. We had a good day, though, yesterday, didn't we?
We did. And we've got, you and I, we've got a meeting later today, and
got a lot of
busy
stuff
week.
going on.
So, yeah.
Excited here on the Auburn Blitz. Got more good news from YouTube yesterday. We just keep growing, and so we're excited about that. And almost to that 2,000 subscriber mark, which is crazy. So that's about 1,500 plus subscribers here in the last 4 weeks. That's all thanks to everybody that watches and tunes us in every day, and we can't thank them enough. And again, we'll be back with you tomorrow. The Auburn Blitz show will be on at noon today. I'll be back on that with Randy. Excuse me for clearing my voice 800 times. The weather can't figure out what it wants to do, so it affects me a little bit. But I'll be back on at noon for the Auburn Blitz show with Randy, and then Faith and I will be back with you in the morning, possibly with Jason Caldwell, depending on his schedule when he heads out to go to Lexington. So hopefully we can get Jason on for a few minutes, kind of get his thoughts on this. But like Glenn said earlier, we've all taught this thing to death, sick of looking at brackets. But do want to remind you to go out there and enter your bracket into our Auburn Blitz Bracket Challenge. Go out there and check it out. The links are out there on our social media. You can't win prizes if you don't enter a bracket. So don't cry to us when you see all these great prizes and you go, well, crap, I didn't fill it out. So we're telling you again, go fill out your bracket. It's free. It doesn't cost anything. And Faith and I are working on that prize list right now that we'll reveal a little bit later on this week. But again, March Madness is here. Starts tonight. We'll see who Auburn plays, either Alabama State or St. Francis. Faith, looking forward to it.
Absolutely.
All right, everybody, have a great, wonderful day. Get out there and make something happen. And a big O.
War Eagle.